Okay, it says I'm live. So, welcome from the Crossroads of America. 1 hour talk show, shooting with disabilities, but we talk guns, politics, or anything else that crosses my mind. Answer questions from the audience, just put them in the chat or email me at rickslife@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. I got Patreon, PayPal, and all that kind of good stuff down there. Links all down there in the info section. So that takes care of that. I mean, let's see who people are just trickling in, but the first in tonight in the chat, I might get a prize for this because I think it's first time ever, was New York Outcast. You know, then Benny Page, James Stewart, Mystic Guns, Kingpin, Two Live Moo. People are starting to trickle in now, you know, so that's good. And on my panel so far, we have Patriot in the Dark. How you doing?
Great, Rick. Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone.
And then we got New York Outcast.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. Thanks for joining us.
And then we got Jason Stewart.
Evening, Rick. Thanks for the invite. Always enjoy being here with you.
Yeah, no problem. Then we got Kingpin.
Always a pleasure, Rick. Thanks for having me, sir.
We did have Blind Shooter, but we lost him. We got Will and Well Armed.
How's it going, Rick? Thank you very much.
Yeah, then we got Guns and Barbecue.
Hey, Rick, you ever notice how you don't see Blind Shooter and Guns and Barbecue in the same spot?
Yeah, I'm beginning to wonder. One and the same person, you know?
The same blind guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good disguise you guys got going on, though.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, though, but I was just telling the guys before I went live, I found another orthopedic who might be able to do my hip. The reason I'm saying this is, I mean, my hip is getting worse and worse as the days go by. You know, it's, I'm having to take, I mean, right now, believe it, I mentioned this before. Normally, if I have a headache or my toe hurts or I got whatever's wrong with me, I take Excedrins. It's my miracle drug. And I'm having to, I'm taking 2 of those in the morning and 2 of those in the afternoon and suffering through the evening, you know. But
you've been taking them a long time.
What?
Excedrin.
I'll be taking them on and off for years. But I mean, but I'm saying for my hip. But for my hip, it's really, it could be mind over matter, but it seems to be helping. I can move around without. I mean, now when I stand up, it sends a shooting pain down my leg and stuff. So it's getting really bad, you know, and I ain't losing the weight fast enough. So I'm trying to find a surgeon that will operate on me as I am.
You could always come to New York. We'll cut you open for anything.
You know, because, but I mean, it's got to the point now. It's hurting so bad. Is I don't even want to go down the range right now because it hurts. I don't want to walk back and forth from my truck to the range and stuff. You know, I can take my scooter, but I still got to, you know, move my scooter off my carrying thing and stuff like that. So it's all becoming a pain in the ass. So
I'd suggest taking something different than the Excedrin because after a while, Excedrin used to be my go-to as well. But after a while, it seemed to be the same way where it didn't seem to take the same effect. So it worked good for me. I always has done. I mean, I have maybe a different type. If it's all right with any other medications, try a different brand product.
Oh, yeah.
You might have a different result. Not saying it's going to solve all your problems, but if it's any pain relief just by switching a brand around, it's worth a shot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of times, like, if you stick with the same pain medication, your body just builds up a tolerance to it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the problem with a lot of antibiotics. is the human immune system as they don't work anymore because we take them and take them and take them, and they keep coming up with stronger ones.
Well, that's a little bit different. That's when people stop taking a full dosage and the survivors start building up an immunity to it. That's where pain meds are a whole different camp in the way they work physiologically.
You don't have to ruin my story.
Well, maybe you should try Aleve. Aleve is what I would recommend,
I've used Aleve, but what I'm saying, I've used Excedrin for years, on and off as my. I don't take. I said, when I say I've used it for years, it's not something that I take every day. Before I could go years without taking it. You know what I'm saying? But if I have a headache or something like that, I would take it.
That's just backing up what we're saying. Try something different.
Look into the CBD like lotions. I hear those work.
Yeah. It's all right saying that. All they got to do is give me a new hip and I'm fine. Well, except
I started taking collagen a year ago, and I haven't taken any type of aspirin ever since.
Plus, if I get a new hip, then I'll be able to debate whether to have the back surgery or not. They won't give me the back surgery until I have 2 new hips, because they want me to I got to have a stable platform to stand on. And
Rick, have you tried naproxen at all?
Do what?
Have you tried naproxen at all?
No.
It's a sodium anti-inflammatory, but you can just go get it at Walmart over the counter. Nothing special. And maybe even try taking 1 Excedrin with some of that naproxen.
Yeah. Really, I said if the doctors would just cut me open and give me a new hip, I wouldn't be having this discussion.
You sound crazy, man. You could try these other pills. It might make it more manageable.
I don't
just dying to be sliced and diced.
I don't want to take medication. I'd rather just get the new hip done and over with.
It's like, what's their excuse? Like, they just don't want to operate on you because of COVID?
No, because they don't want to operate on me because of my size and my age. There's more of my size is putting me under. I'm more of a danger of not waking up. So they claim.
So what if you just get drunk?
Which might be true, but I'm willing to sign some form, some waiver, and say if I die on the table, I die on the table.
Alcohol wouldn't be good because it's going to thin his blood and he'd bleed out quicker. Any kind of issues like that.
No.
If they had an accident.
But what I find hard, I was maybe only within 15 pounds of what I'm weighing now when they done my left hip in Rhode Island. So I don't see what the problem is. It seems these doctors in Indiana just don't want to do it.
How many years ago was that?
What?
How many years ago? Guns and Barbecue is asking how old you were, and I'm asking how many years ago it was.
I'm 63, and I had my left hip 2 years ago. I had it done in July, and I moved here to Indiana in October.
Well, yeah, you were a spring chicken.
Yeah, maybe there's a sliding scale. I'm sure there's some type of age and weight type of sliding scale or calculator that they're looking at.
It varies that much from state to state?
Yep.
I guess they're used to doing fat people in the Northeast, I guess.
Well, that is something that if a doctor's not comfortable, I wouldn't push it with that doctor.
No, that's why I'm looking at this new one.
It's just it's not, if
I figured if I check enough, I'll find one that's willing to do it. But I just don't want some hack to do it. I'm looking up decent, half-assed decent orthopedic surgeons. And this one has a good reputation. So that's what I'm talking about. Shooting disabilities. I need. It's bothering me so much I don't even want to go shooting.
I have a question that ties into that.
Yes.
Before we spoke, that I don't know if it was when you were thinking about hunting. Wasn't there a license or something that you could get from shooting from your vehicle?
Oh, I got it.
Now, is that something that you could use at the range, saying that you're practicing because you're going to go hunting or something? Is that just?
Well,
is that something that you could do?
Well, the range I go to, there ain't nobody ever there. Last time I went to the range, I actually drove my truck onto the grass. Up to near where I was going to shoot from, and I was going to, if anybody said anything, I was going to say, I'm hurting today, and I just found it easier, but I will move my truck if you want me to. I don't want to do it during the winter months. I don't want to leave, I don't want to get stuck in the mud and tear up the grass and shit, because where the actual range is, where the grass is, you would think it was somebody's front yard. It's mowed so nice and everything else, because I said they never use it. Somebody goes down there and mows it every now and then during the summer, but that's about it. And as I said the other day, I drove down there the other day just to see, because on October the 4th, they had their turkey shoot, and I went there the Monday after. And all that grass is covered in thousands of the in the shotgun shells. Those little plastic plugs they put in that come flying out when they shoot them. What's the word? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Wadding.
Yeah, the wad. There's thousands of plastic wads all over the grass. But then I went down there last Monday. And there wasn't one on the grass. They went through and cleaned them all up. So I said the grass is like somebody's yard. It's nice because where you shoot from is all concrete, but I can drive up on the grass to get to the concrete. Or if I go in the parking lot, I have to walk to get to the concrete. You know what I'm saying? So it just I don't know. It ain't really that much of a problem. It's just that I'm uncomfortable with this damn hip, and I'm talking myself out of going. Is basically what I'm doing.
I had a question, Rick.
Yes.
Your last doctor, when you got this done, was there any concern about the weight or anything like that at that point?
Nope.
Okay.
He didn't even ask me to lose weight. He said it would be good if you lost some, but you don't. He scheduled me for a certain date, and I went and had it done. Mind you, my wait time was 6 months. That's how backed up this guy was.
Before you had that first hip surgery, did he tell you both hips were bad, or did he just? So he just picked a side, and
he picked the left one because it was the worst.
Okay, so all right, that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, and he said your right one's going to need doing, because really, when they do hip surgery, it's like knee surgery. They don't want to do both at the same time. I would imagine if I was still living in Rhode Island, I would have had the right one done by now. You know what I'm saying? But and that's why I've been trying for the last few months. Been trying to find a doctor here in Indiana to do it for me. See you later, Southpaw. So he's out of here. So, all right.
So you think you found the doctor that's going to do it?
Well, I found another place that looks promising. So they got a good reputation. They got good reviews. And I even know one of the old boys down at the diner. I mentioned it to him, and he goes, he said, that's why I went to have my knee replaced. He said, they're good. So I thought I'd give him a call this week. first things first, I got to make sure they take my insurance. You know, if they don't take my insurance, that's as far as it goes. I'm dead in the water. You know, so plus what I like about it, it says here they used modern and I came in there in the word when they put you to sleep. They use modern techniques here. It's done as an outpatient procedure. And what you call it? They're have it done in no time at all. Have you up and walking in home by the evening. I mean, of course, you're gonna, as I was saying before we went live. I understand. It's not all done and over with. I mean, I more likely have to use one of those walkers for about. I had to use one for, I think it was 5-6 weeks when I was in Rhode Island, and I wasn't allowed to drive. You know, because they don't want you twisting your hip for it doesn't pop out of the joint. You know,
the surgery is so highly advanced now. Like we talked about it last year when you were talking about your back. You know, my dad had a back surgery, had 2 of them, and it was basically like he was at the butcher shop. But nowadays, if you get back surgery or knee surgery or any type of, they're so technologically advanced right now with the equipment.
Oh yeah.
Instead of hacking half your leg off, they only got to put little tiny cuts in you now.
Yeah. Well, when they done my hip surgery, there's 2 types. You can go through the front, or you can go like on your side through your ass cheek. They went through my side, through my left ass cheek. I got about a 5-inch scar there, where they went in and took out my total hip and put a brand new one in. And that little, it's amazing what they can do nowadays.
Well, have you considered having them just do the arthroscopy instead of replacing the whole hip and like going in there and grinding it out? And
no, it's gone too far.
It's too far.
Even the last surgeon I just saw, she even said, "Oh man," she said that your hip is shot. I said that's why I'm trying to get it done. You know, the arthritis is eating it totally away. It's basically it's bone on bone right now.
You ever tried any heating pads?
Oh yeah, I use heating pads at night. And I even use the heating pad when I'm sitting in my recliner at nighttime sometimes. Now, when it starts getting cold, I'll be using them all the time to help me. You know,
a friend of mine, he had a hip surgery, but he had one leg that was about 3 inches shorter than the other one. That's the reason, you know, he got in his hip problem anyway, and they added it, made it longer, and he was in bed for a couple of weeks because he had to stretch out all his muscles in his skin to be longer to accommodate that extra 3 inches.
Yeah, I can see that. But I said when I had that surgery, they had me in there. I think I had to be there 8 o'clock in the morning. Time I come out of surgery, I think it was around time I woke up in the hospital ward or room. It was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I know around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the resident physical therapist came in and got me up walking. You know, then they let me eat dinner. Then she came back, and I had to go walking around I walk around the ward 2 or 3 times. Then she woke my ass up at 6 a.m. the following morning to do it all over again. You know, so I said they have you on walking, and honestly, the only pain I had from that surgery was actually where they actually cut me, where the stitches were, and that 5-inch cut. That's the only thing that hurt. And even that night, I actually slept on my left hip. I actually slept on it, on the actual thing. Because it didn't hurt that much. So they were amazed that I could do that. They said, "Doesn't that hurt you?" I said, "No." Yeah. It was such a great relief to have that done. And that's what I want done with my right. Because as I'm sitting here right now, as I mentioned this the other week, from my groin down to my knee, some nerve is being damaged because it hurts the whole time. And if I turn too fast, it brings tears to my eyes. And I went to the foot doctor this morning. That's why I'm on this tear. And I'm sitting there in the chair, and my right foot is leaning outwards. I can't. If you know how if you sit in a chair, you can put both your feet up straight, both your feet up straight. I can't do that. I can do it with my left because I got the new hip, but my right one, I can't bring it around to keep straight. It sits at a funny angle. I said, you're going to have to lean over sideways to do that. I said, I can't bring it up straight. You know, that's how bad it's got. So when I'm walking, my right foot is pointing way out of kilter. You know, I can't walk with straight like people do. So it sucks getting old. It sucks getting. I mean, it's worse. I admit it's worse than what it might be if I wasn't so big. My weight is not helping the situation any. I understand that. And as the doctor said when he done my left one, he said, I'm going to be honest with you. He said, a normal person, within his weight range, what he's meant to be for his height and age, he said that will more than likely last him 20 years. He said, if you stay as you are, he said that might last you 15. So, so losing the weight's not a bad thing to do, but it will make my new hip joints last longer.
Well, I mean, plus you got to think at the age of adulthood, when you're grown and you do grown things, 5 years is a massive difference. Think about 15 years from now, you'll be what, in your early 80s? I can't add.
So I'll be in my late 70s.
Okay, well, add 5 years to that. And when you add 5 years that far into life, it's like counting dog years at that time. You got to add every year is going to be 3 years, 4 years, depending on. So are you going to want to be miserable when you turn 80 because your hips have gone bad again? Or would you rather be 85 and then get miserable again?
Now, where I'm going with this is, even if they do the surgery, I'm still going to stay on the diet because because I want to live longer. You know what I'm saying? So, it's not that if they do the surgery, I'm going to stay fat. I'm going to keep trying to lose weight like I am. It's something I started on, so I made my mind up. I'm doing it. I got my little thing on my phone here where I keep track of everything I eat and try to stay within my calorie count.
I think you should take up parkour.
Take up what?
That extreme running where people jump off of buildings and flip over top of fences and stuff.
Oh yeah.
He's trying to get him killed.
Okay, so anyway, that's enough about me. We spent 25 minutes just for me on the pity pot there. So have you guys got anything going on you want to talk about before we move on? Don't all jump in at once now. No. Did we lose Blind Shooter? Did Blind Shooter ever come back?
Yeah, he was here for a minute or so and then bounced back out.
We lost him again. Okay. All right, no problem. I see Sabrina's here. Good to see you. Gun Loving Grandpa's here. Gun Websites is here. He goes, when I was talking about my hip and they cut a new, they cut there on my butt cheek. He says, if they got to make a new hole, he said, how good are these doctors in your butt? You already got one. They have to make another one. So how good are these doctors? Yeah, trust you to come up with something like that. So,
he also mentioned that you could just get some robot legs.
Yes.
It could be Rick's robot legs life as I see it. I mean, that sounds got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, you remember the what you call it, the $6 million man? You know?
The only,
You might get better mileage out of them.
the only problem with that, if you get robot legs, G Webs probably won't hang out with you anymore because he's not a big fan of the robots.
No, he's not. That's all part of Skynet. You know, with the robots. So even what you call it, legs like RoboCop. You know, so okay. Anyway, so back on to other stuff. I see that the ATF has given a 60-day reprieve to the honey badger, the company who makes it. They've canceled the cease and desist order for the next 60 days, so they can continue making them until they decide what they're going to do. I think it's their way of trying to slide out of their screw up gracefully. You know?
Can anyone explain to me what the honey badger is exactly? And is it just simply an AR pistol? Is there something different?
No, it's an AR pistol. That's just the name of it.
Well, it is a 300 blackout AR pistol.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know the whole details, but it's an AR pistol, and with a brace on it.
And they're saying it's too short to be called a pistol, or what's the deal with it? Why is it different than any other AR pistol?
I think it's a half-inch too long.
Yeah, they're saying that because of the length of the draw, that it was designed to be shouldered.
You know, so that makes it an SBR, is what they're saying. But yes, I mean, it's a way to skirt around the law. We know that. But the brace was originally designed for a handicapped person to be able to shoot one. Because those braces actually do work. They will strap on to your forearm.
I've got 3 tail hooks, and I use the tail hooks, and I do fold it. It folds out and goes under your arm, and being the way I am, I can put a hand on my knee, and then I can hold one arm out, my right hand out, and shoot that way pretty dang good. I tried the SB Tactical, but putting my arm in that rubber sleeve, and my elbow doesn't bend the wrong way to bring it high enough up to get to my eye level and look down the barrel. So it really isn't designed to even be used, the SB Tactical, as far as I'm concerned, of trying to use it the proper way, it's intended. I don't know if anybody from the ATF ever tried putting one on their arm and shooting it, but you can't see down the sights unless you're double jointed.
Well, one thing I haven't been paying any attention to the honey badger thing, but G makes a good point. He says it is an AR pistol. It is an AR pistol brace and pistol. Okay. That they didn't file paperwork on, so they were told to quit selling it. So I mean, I get that if you've got paperwork, you've got to file to sell a product, and you didn't do it, and they told you to stop. That's just poor management of your business. I don't think that's super anti 2A, but that's the first time I've heard that. But once again, I'm like Jason, I haven't been paying attention to them.
Yeah, I mean, I really haven't been paying close attention either. That's the first time I've heard that too.
I got a question about the braces there. The last time I seen a brace, it was just for a real pistol, not an AR type anything. And the brace was for one-handed shooting because obviously designed for a one-handed shooter. So the difference with an AR that how it's supposed to be designed for shooting one-handed, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's fully extended away from you and not with a bent elbow. It'd be shooting it like a pistol then, correct? I mean, if you were using a brace
Well, I mean,
as designed,
you could shoot it like a pistol, or you could hold it straight. You would hold your arm straight.
yes, as though you were shooting a regular normal pistol.
I mean,
So when you're using a brace as designed as a handicapped person with one hand, it would be fully extended. I'm just trying to picture it because I've seen them and I've held them and stuff like that, but I've never had to use one.
No, I mean,
but on a regular pistol,
if they made one, could I put I mean, like for argument's sake, you could put a brace on my my 380. Yeah. If I couldn't hold it with two hands, I could put a brace on it to help me hold it. Would that be illegal? Would that make it a rifle?
Well, no, if it had a butt, it would be it'd be a short barrel rifle. But if it had a brace on it, it would be a pistol with a brace.
And that's what the honey badger is.
Well, if it's too short, I mean, the way they wrote it, like you could use the top half, but you couldn't use the bottom half. Is what they were saying. They were saying separate it and get your SBR license, and then you could use the bottom half.
But you shouldn't have to separate it, and you shouldn't have to get an SBR license because because of the particular Q make, the brand Honey Badger. From what I understand, if I go over to I don't know who else. I said I don't even have an AR, so I don't know. But say some other company, M&P, makes AR pistols and they sell them with a brace. Why is it okay to buy that one, but not buy the Honey Badger one? When they're identical.
From what they say, it's due to the length, basically, the length of the rear end, which would kick it out of the pistol into SBR, short barrel rifle. So, what would sound like an easy fix is shorten the rear end up the slightest and make a conversion or change or something, but that may not be affordable or practical or whatever. So I don't know. But that's just if it is.
But that's the same
way. 3/4 inches long. You try to shave that off somehow, some way.
I mean, it's an SB tactical brace. They're the company that makes them.
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up. And with what G-Webs had mentioned out in the chat, that kind of makes more sense now, because what I was kind of wondering with all this is why Q was being targeted and not anybody else, because like Rick just said, from what I had heard, it was an SB tactical brace on it. So your AR lowers, they're all the same, and if you put on a pistol buffer and brace from SB Tactical, it shouldn't make it too long. At that point, if the draw length is the issue, it seems like they should be banning that brace from SB Tactical, not the Q Honey Badger. But since they're really only going after Q, with what G-Web said, like I said, I feel like that makes a little bit more sense now.
Okay. Oh, Clover just jumped in. Because designs are approved by the ATF on a per firearm basis, and Q did not go through that process in the proper manner, right or wrong, they did not do it. That is what makes this solely a Q issue. So,
but did you see the interview with the CEO of SB Tactical?
Yeah.
He seems to say that SB Tactical, along with the ATF, have gone through and they're trying to standardize a direct set of rules. And it didn't make any sense to him why they were going after Q.
But if this is true, what G-Webs are saying and Clover are saying, that he didn't actually submit the firearm with the brace on to get approval or whatever, and that could be it,
Yeah, they might have goofed during presentation, and if it is, if whether you like the rules or not, if you're putting a product out, you got to follow, go along with the proper length or whatever. You can't put a rifle out, at least in New York, under 16-inch barrel or anything like that. There's laws in different places. So,
Okay.
See, to me, this is just a.
Clover said they did not send the SB tactical brace that was shipped with the complete pistol when they received approval. Therefore, sending that the rifle that the braces does not conform. So if he had it approved with a different brace on it, then change the braces, that could cause a problem, I guess.
Well, the only thing that doesn't make a lot of sense to me here is if I were to go buy a lower, get it marked as other or pistol even, and then I go and buy pistol upper and a lower parts kit and the pistol buffer and all that, that's all fine. I don't understand. I mean, I understand that apparently there's some rule for manufacturers and everything, but it just seems ass backwards to me that you have to do some sort of special hoops to sell a complete pistol.
I think everybody would agree that the whole SBR AR pistol, other and all is all as stupid as can possibly be.
Anyway,
But like Rob said, and I mentioned earlier, if it's a rule, whether you like it or not, you don't follow it, you're going to get smashed. So I mean, it's kind of starting to sound like this company was just doing bad business.
Yeah, Clover said he'll jump in and explain it to us because he must be up on it. Here he is. All right, Clover, explain it to us. Talk to me, Clover.
Yeah, give it a second. When you jump in, your audio doesn't catch up.
Oh, okay. So we'll wait till his audio catches up, or he's got to re-enter.
Yeah, to me, this is like we agree. This is a stupid law, a stupid rule, whatever it is, that we need to keep fighting against. I mean, my same driver's license lets me drive a 2-door car or a 4-door car or a pickup truck. So, I mean, explain to me how any crime or anything is prevented over their stupid rules and what something measures on a tape measure. I mean, what does it change?
Anyway,
if something isn't ready to drive on the road, you can't just drive it on the road.
Maybe.
Even though you have a license.
We can hear you, Clover. So explain this to us.
Yeah, when I change I use multiple settings, and every time I come into GunTube, I have to change settings for some reason. It's crazy. So, first of all, I agree, totally agree. The conversation on how ridiculous the rules are and everything else, that's a whole different thing. We have to shelve that in this situation. First of all, when you manufacture a firearm, which is what Q's doing, you take that firearm, you submit it in its entirety to the ATF. There's a process, there's paperwork. Even when you import firearms, this is the same deal. And to go back, I'm going to be long-winded here. I hope it's not a problem. But to go back, I was talking with Keith from EAA, which imports a lot of guns, Tank Polio, the Witness, the other stuff, right? And he was talking about those Gersons, and they got the Gerson Gen 4s into the country before they got the Gen 3s because they simply changed the name. After they got ATF approval, they decided they were going to change the name of it, and they had to submit the paperwork all again, just on calling it something different, right? So if Q submitted it as a honey badger and then decided to call it the maple syrup badger, you know what I mean? They'd have to resubmit the paperwork. So we would be dealing with basically the same issue or a similar issue. So they submitted it, but they didn't submit it in its entirety. And I don't know all the complexities of what they did or didn't do, but I can tell you that there is a process, just like there's things that FFL dealers have to abide by and all of that, right? Again, whether or not that's viable, it prevents crime, it does anything useful, is on a shelf for another day. So the problem is that that's what happened, essentially. That's what happened. And that's why nobody else is feeling the heat off of this. There's a few things to keep in mind here with pistol braces. And this is why I'm not a fan of pistol braces. I never have. I'm glad to see them get popularity. I think it gives us a leg up to say that the NFA is freaking stupid and we need to attack it and get rid of it, and a whole host of other things. Personally, I think it's a very dangerous thing screwing around with a pistol brace in the first place, because the pistol brace is built off of bureaucratic approval through a letter to companies that manufacture the pistol braces. Now, if you've written the ATF, you've got an AR pistol, it's got a pistol brace on it, and you've written the ATF, and the ATF has sent you back a letter of approval with Rick's name on it that says it's perfectly fine in the ATF's eyes for Rick to own this pistol, you are covered until such time that the ATF decides that that letter is invalid, and they can't just come arrest you. They have to give you, like they did Q, a cease and desist first, right? As they pull it off, don't run it. We've changed our mind on that opinion. And if you want anything else, you're going to have to submit another opinion, right? They render it invalid. I know this because I've got a safe in there with ATF opinion letters in it. I know how they work. I've been through the process. So, knowing that the opinion letters from the ATF are for the person that applied for them, and these manufacturers are sent, they used to send it out in the box with them. You know, when pistol braces first came out, I don't buy pistol braces. Somebody tell me if they continue to do that nowadays. I don't know, but it's worthless in the grand scheme of things. It's actually worthless. So this whole notion is built on a house of cards that's dangerous because it's being regulated by a bureaucracy, and it's not legislation, right? Or it's not protected by, it's certainly protected by the Constitution, in my opinion, but we have no court precedents to back that up or anything else, right? So getting back to the issue of what you mentioned with SB Tactical working with the ATF, it's the same way. They're trying to get a leg up on the market, just like Silencer Shop is working with the ATF and several other suppressor companies that when this whole thing about the Hearing Protection Act was coming through, and a lot of people don't know about this, a lot of people don't talk about this, but they were trying to get a leg up on the market. And that's why Silencer Shop went to a digital format of and really worked on that and crafted that and got that available for the ATF, was to try to corner the market in a sense, for fear that the Hearing Protection Act would go through and everybody and their grandfather would be making suppressors and everything else. It was an added benefit to them to try to throw a monkey wrench in that process by making it, they could say, well, if we made this easier, right, then people won't push for the Hearing Protection Act anymore, because now they can go out, they can do their Form 1s, they can do their digital thing, and they get it back a lot quicker. And that's the primary gripe for most people. Unfortunately, they don't say, hey, this is unconstitutional, or hey, this even cost me $200. It's the gripe. And I'll tell you that a lot of times because I own a lot of NFA items, and it's like the only reason I don't own more is the lack of the $200 more than anything for me. Because that's current law. That's what we got to go through. And it's one of them things where, while you would like to see it changed, and you would certainly advocate to change it, if you want those items, that's the process you got to go through to get them, unfortunately, right? So I got off kilter there, but coming back around to it, yeah, it has to do with the way that Q sent everything into the ATF. That is the process that firearm manufacturing goes through, regardless of who you are. And even if you were to say, okay, I'm going to make I'm going to buy all the parts exactly like Q builds their deal, and they put it together. If you were a manufacturer, granted, and I'll get to this in just a second, then you've got to submit that to the ATF as well before you start serializing, right, those firearms, because that's part of Gun Control Act of 1968, another thing that we need to roll back. Then, you know, as a part of being a manufacturer and all of that, you have to get that ATF approval, even though the ATF has always given approval on something that is the same identical specifications with another company. Like I pointed out with the EAA, and there's a reason I do that, even the name of the product is different. So somebody mentioned about going out and getting a lower. Here's what makes even more sense. Let's blow your mind with get rid of the NFA, get rid of the CA, get rid of FOPA, get rid of all this garbage, right? Because it doesn't make any sense. You buy the Honey Badger from Q, right?
Yep.
Okay. All of this aside, let's back up. Let's back up. It's not even Q, but let's say that you bought the Honey Badger from Q and you put a totally different brace on it.
Okay.
Or you buy a pistol from whoever makes them, F1, Faxon, whoever it might be, and you put a different brace on it. You take the brace off altogether and just run a buffer tube. You could totally do that.
One real quick question. Q is apparently a company that sells firearms accessories.
They're a firearm manufacturer.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, building your own, you build your own. You're not selling them. You're not a manufacturer. So you could do whatever you want within the confines of legislation, basically. But as a manufacturer, you're bound by a different set of rules, the same way as with a dealer, you're a different set of rules. But just like you could change the grips on your pistol, you can't put a forward grip on your pistol. Let's say you have a handgun, right? I'm talking about a revolver or let's say a SIG P320, right? You could change the grips. Nothing wrong with changing the grip or the grip module. Totally legit. Do that, whatever. Fine. You can't put a vertical forward grip on it, though. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that as an individual, but you could change certain things on it, and that's fine. And it works the same way when you build your own with an AR, as long as it conforms to those overall specifications set forth between the NFA and the GCA, you're fine. And if you buy a pistol from a manufacturer, you can do that as well, because you've changed that. The manufacturer hasn't. You feel me? But where they got into trouble is they were the manufacturer. They sent it in. They got approval to manufacture, serialize, sell, distribute these. And then after they got that back, they slapped a brace on it when the brace should have been on there as consideration in the first place. It's not an end user problem, manufacturer problem only. So I hope that was a long story. I know, but hopefully that clears a lot of that up.
Well, I mean, for me, that's really the information that I was looking for, because I see all the video titles, and I haven't watched any of the videos that people have put out about it. And they're all freaking out and pulling their hair out. The ATF is going to destroy the gun world, and da, da, da. And ultimately, it's come down to one business made a mistake, and one business has to get it right.
Welcome to the dramatic world of YouTube, brother. A lot of those people, I'm going to give you a little inside baseball. And a lot of y'all know this. Y'all know me. Y'all know a lot of the same creators I do and talk to them on a regular basis. I know some that have put out videos like that full well know exactly what I told you. Have emails, correspondence, letters, articles, and everything else to prove it. And they still, after knowing all that, put out the cry wolf, howl at the moon. The ATF is shutting down all pistol braces thing. Now, did the ATF realize, is this a shot across the bow? Is this Q screwed up, so now the ATF sees an opportunity to maybe start doing more things? I can't speak to that. That's entirely possible. But for this particular case, Q screwed up, and that has to be recognized in order to be transparent and be honest with everybody out there.
Hey, Clover, I got a question for you. A couple months ago, there was talk that, the ATF was going to go after pistol braces. Mm-hmm. And then we never really heard anything after that. Do you think that this is what that, I don't know, flag event, we could call it, was about? Was actually them getting ready to go after Q?
Something got leaked somewhere about the Q issue. Yeah, they don't do this arbitrarily, right? And they probably, I don't know, because I don't know the correspondence between them and Q. I haven't seen that. Q probably, if it looks bad, enough looks bad on Q at this point already, right? So I doubt Q's going to release any more type of correspondence. But yeah, I mean, maybe the ATF reached out months ago, and maybe the ATF, again, this is all speculation, and I don't like going down that road necessarily, but the ATF is not just going to come knock on the door of Q and go, here it is, or they're not just going to go cease and desist. They're probably going to reach out and go, hey, did you mean to do this? Do you need to resubmit some stuff to us? And Q probably said, oh, no, we're fine. No, we're fine. And the ATF, they sent it up. They verified it. They looked into everything. They made sure all their P's were dotted and their I's was crossed, so to speak, right? And then they hammered them. And so, yeah, is it possible that was part of a leak? Yeah. But then you've got people saying that because of this screw up, this actually was, and it goes to your point. I think it was Guns N' Barbecue that asked that, but it goes to your point about this, to get political with this for a second. A lot of people say that the ATF knew about this already, and they waited for not to do it because the ATF is not super pro-Trump, right? they went, or the bureaucracy, a lot of the bureaucracy there isn't, that they waited for an October surprise that was, oh, look, we're getting rid of, in the grand scheme, headline culture of news that we're in. Oh, look, we're getting rid of, pistol braces, right? As the headline that you see everywhere. And what that's going to do is disenfranchise a certain amount of Trump voters already mad over the bump stock thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. It was
Exactly.
Matt Gaetz, that senator from Florida, who brought it up about 4 or 5 months. Well, it wasn't even that long ago, maybe 4 months ago. He said ATF, there was a leak saying ATF was going after after pistol braces. But also, when I was listening to the original conversation with the owner of Q, he had the original letter at the beginning of September to cease and desist. So he's known about it for a few months. It's only when they said, no, you can't, from what I can figure out, he went against what ATF said, and so ATF slammed him. Mm-hmm. But anyway, from what I can understand, there's a 60-day grace period now while they try to sort it out between them.
Good. There should, and I think there should be. I mean, that's what a cease and desist and all that's all about is, let's work this out. I mean, they didn't go in, seize their files, seize their property, throw people in jail. So, and, when you think about it, manufacturers, if anybody out there is an FFL manufacturer, for some reason, then chime in for sure. But I know several on a small scale. Well, I know several even on a large scale. And the amount of money they pay in excise taxes and taxes this and that to the federal government is pretty darn huge. And so just like the ATF, the Department of Justice, so forth and so on, love that $200 from those tax stamps, right? They like the tax dollars from the manufacturers. So, at the end of the day, money does talk in a way.
Yeah.
Going back to, like, it was already mentioned, and G-Web's mentioned it out there, coming close to election time and trying to disenfranchise people. That's what you always hear people on, I guess what we'll call our side, the right, say that the left acts on emotion and we act on logic. And I've always said that that's the biggest load of crap. Yeah. We are some of the most emotional people out there. And nobody wants to believe it because, we have facts and we have logic, but we get super, and this apparently appears to be a case where one company made a mistake and has to get it right. So people are pulling their hair out and screaming.
Oh, yeah.
Look how many resources have been mobilized from your, 3-letter organizations or whatever, supposedly, right? Been mobilized and all this. What other legit legislational issues or whatever, court battles could they be working on right now instead of getting pulled off to try to defend Q from Q's screw up?
True. But you're right. I mean, you're right there too, Kingpin. I mean, long as it's going our way, we believe in facts and everything else. But as soon as it goes against us, our emotions take over.
I can come into almost any room on the internet and say one word and have at least 3 or 4 people start wetting themselves. Trump. And then the right starts going crazy. So we're no different than the left, when it comes to acting on emotion. Only difference is ultimately we've got facts and logic on our side.
Yeah. You're right. I was reading what Midnight Range in the chat. Clover Tech, it's interesting. I wonder how much the government brings in on taxes from AR pistols and braces, etc., versus tax stamps for SPRs.
Oh, not a lot like on sales tax or whatever for braces.
Yeah,
probably one person's salary.
I was speaking taxes, fees, everything in general, right? That the government gets. You add all that up, it's pretty significant. For example, the ITAR tax, which is a manufacturing thing, that's International Traffic and Arms Regulations, which is a Department of State thing. Actually, with that, it's weird that some of these firearm taxes is Department of State, some are Department of Justice, some are what am I thinking? The other one, Department of the Treasury. Some are, it's weird, right? That there's all these agencies that are getting a piece of the firearm manufacturing, sales, whatever pie, right? But ITAR, I say ITAR, a lot of people call it ITAR, but either way, is over 2,000, like $2,300 a year. So every manufacturer, firearms manufacturer, and ammunition manufacturer too, by the way, in the United States, big, small, whatever it may be, if they're going by the letter of the law, are paying ITAR taxes, are paying that 2,000 something dollars a year. So you do the math on it; it adds up quick. You do the math on that, and then if you're talking about tax stamps, you know, Google the number. I don't know it, but I know that it's consistently been going up and up and up and up and up and up and up every year. Simply take that and multiply it by 200. That's pretty simple, because it's the only thing, and any other weapons transfer between dealers is $5. Any other thing you do is $200. And there's very few any other weapon transfers before dealers, honestly, that take place. The vast majority, obviously, is people buying suppressors, people registering their SBRs, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
So the vast majority of it is $200 a pop times. You do the math on it. I don't know the numbers, but I know there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people a year that are filing for those tax stamps.
Yeah, it adds up. Yeah. All right. So there you go. Is that does that answer you out there, Midnight Range?
No, he'll argue over something, I'm sure, just because he likes to do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I think G Web's answered him. You know.
He said no.
No, so then he asked another one about do cops pay the tax stamp? And G Web says no, they don't.
Nope.
It's military and LEOs are exempt from the NFA.
Well, then how is that fair?
Right?
Well, you pay for it. That's how it's fair. You
Right.
pay for it just through your state taxes.
Right. Basically.
Yeah.
I got a quick question as while we're on revenues and stuff. How many of you guys have to pay, and maybe it might be per different gun store, because sometimes here in Maryland, a gun store won't charge you, or they add it to the price of the gun, or they charge you separately to file the paperwork, like to enter in your background check. Most of the time it's $10 here. But like I said, there's a bunch of places who don't charge it, and then there's a bunch of places that just add it to the price of the gun and kind of don't tell you that they did that. Do you guys all have to pay that fee?
In my area, if you buy a gun, it's free.
I mean, as far as I know, in Indiana, it's free here.
So
unless they back it onto the price of the gun that we don't know, that it's already there. When you see the price of the gun on the shelf, it's included. I don't know.
Well, just to elaborate, when we're saying that it's free, is it free if you have one transferred there, if you buy it from Bud's gun shop and have it delivered, or is it free from you buy it from the dealer? Because I can understand it being free if you ordered it through the dealer or you bought one off their shelf. I get it.
Yeah, my transfer fees are $50 a piece.
Yeah, I'll clarify. If I have a transfer,
though, that's if you're getting something sent in and they're just doing the paperwork and the background check.
Why did you say
the second one will be 45 though? So
now I've got
a different store.
I've got one that's free, but I got to drive 45 miles, 50 miles each way, or local. The one right down the street is $25.
You poor soul.
Yeah,
I drove an hour and a half one way to buy. It did it from an individual to buy a rifle just yesterday morning. So you poor individual.
There's certain stores here that'll charge you $65 for a transfer.
I'm about to fall out of my chair, dude. Don't golly.
Most stores charge you $50. The state police department charges, I think, $25, and then the FFL that I go to only charges me $20. But that's for transfers. Now, if I go into a store and buy a gun off their shelf, I still get charged that $10 service charge for the background check.
Do they? I mean, I don't know how it works. Are the FFLs charged every time they do a background check by the government?
I think it. Go ahead, Rob. My bad.
Sorry, no, I don't believe so. They can call in.
No, let's roll
No,
it.
it's just that's actually just payment for them to do the stuff. I mean,
it's for
if
the
you're a
time.
business, you're going to want to get paid for what you do.
Yeah,
unless they're related or you're friends with them or something.
So
when you go in there and have them do paperwork, you got to pay for it.
Okay, so it's Patriots right in a sense. So here's generally the reason that you see transfer fees. First of all, no, they don't pay because that's all a part of like their dues, their fees for the event. That's what that's for, right? So it's for them to be able to have access and do all of that. But as an FFL dealer, you have to be in the business to make money, right? You can't just say, oh, I want to be an FFL dealer, but I'm not going to have a store. I'm not going to really order anything. I'm just going to take my FFL license and go to the Wanamaker Gun Show twice a year and buy a bunch of crap without a background check or anything else and not have to pay taxes and blah, 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 right? And there was people doing that. And so as an FFL, and you have to be showing to make money. Well, you've got a lot of small, like I call them garage or bedroom FFL dealers. That is still a thing. I know many around here. So the way that they get around, obviously they don't stock a lot of stuff, right? But people have stuff, buy it online, buy it on Arms List, buy it on Gun Broker, buy it on Buds, whatever, right? And have it sit to their neighbor down the street that's an FFL in a little room in his garage. And so he's able to show the ATF he's making money, not because he's selling guns, because he's collecting a transfer fee. So that's where the whole thing of the transfer fee come into play. And that's why it's not regulated. That's why the ATF doesn't say it's got to be a minimum of this, it's got to be a maximum of this. All they say is you got to be in the business to make money.
Yeah, you're right. And there was a guy in Connecticut. That's all he did from his house was you ordered a gun from Bud, send it to him. He do the transfer. He didn't carry any stock. That's all he did was transfers.
Now, Clover, that license to be a FFL in that level is $500 a year. Is that right?
Just the sales, yeah, I think so. 300 or 3 to 500. I don't know exactly, but somewhere in that range. You're in the ballpark for sure.
Okay, G-Web put in here 2019, 342,860 forms minus, or was that plus 1,942,822,000 guns. NFA tax collected $37,300,000. SOT tax was collected $7 million.
Now, also, you got to take into account, realize those 342,860 forms, right?
Yeah.
And potential, I'm just saying potential here. This is an unknown number, but it does come into play. There is a number behind that because we're talking about it. The potential that was charged for transfers that had to pay sales tax or income tax on. Think about that, too, for a minute.
Yeah, that's kind of why I brought up my fee that I pay here in Maryland is because there's got to be dozens of other fees along the way that people are paying into, penny at a time, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Now, Clover, now some of these FFLs, I know just have it so they could buy full autos and keep them like they're going to sell them, but they never sell them. They just keep it under that, but they don't have to.
Okay, yeah, that's an SOT. That's a special occupancy tax. That's above and beyond. That's like a duck stamp on your hunting license. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's a different thing. You're already assumed to have the FFL and be in the business, right? And showing that you're doing something in the business. Then you've got the SOT on top of it. So a lot of the people that have the SOT that I know that own the firearms and transfer, they do other things. They own the what am I not do transfers in that sense, but I'm talking about full auto. But a lot of those people, they facilitate full auto transfers. You know, they help with that kind of stuff. They do, which is a transfer, right? You're in the business. A lot of people that own full autos to that extent, the folks around here I know anyway, they buy and sell and swap all the time. That's a big boys game. You better have made billions in the oil industry back in Texas back in the 80s to play that game. But most of it was around here. And like you say, they are dealers. They do have that enables them to play in that game, right? But they are able to show that they're making a business out of it too. So now, are there people that to this day that go out that get an FFL just for the purposes you're talking about, to be, and I'm talking about, to be able to buy the guns and do this, and they never get caught? I'm sure there are, right? But if the ATF comes down on them and they says, hey, we don't think you're really in the business, you better give us some proof, that you better have some proof to show, or they're going to pull your license.
Yeah, that's what G-Webs is saying in the chat right now.
Yeah.
Real quick, I've heard the term SOT before when Bloke's 2 cents was giving away his suppressors, and he said that you had to have an SOT, so the SOT covers all NFA items, or just specific ones, or what?
Yeah. All.
Okay, so there you go.
Silencers, full auto, SBRs, destructive. Yeah, basically NFA items. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because my local gun store, he must have one of those, because he's got a whole counter wall of nothing but silencers.
Yeah, and most do. The popularity, especially since you didn't see that years ago, but as the popularity of no pun intended has exploded, of silencers has exploded, the number of dealers that went out and got the SOT. But again, they're already in the business. The vast majority of them, they're adding the suppressors and the other things to that business, so it's a non-issue.
And a lot more ranges do have full autos for rental as well, as a side item.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's because I shot one down in Florida. I rented it at a range when I went down there with my sons. I can't remember what in the hell it was now. I wasn't that impressed. All I know is I went through a box of ammo in about 2 seconds.
They got a place in Frederick, Maryland. G-Webs has been there actually when he came through doing his tour after the DC rally. It's called the Machine Gun Nest, and they rent full auto stuff up there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was a very interesting info there, Clover. I really appreciate you jumping in.
Well, I didn't mean to come in and mansplain everybody.
No, that's all right. That works. No, it's good. It's good to hear this kind of stuff that we don't know, because I don't want to put out false information. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming in and explaining it to us.
Well, hopefully I didn't confuse people further.
No, you didn't. So real quick before I end this is my quiz. Nobody's entered it yet. Maybe it was too difficult. I didn't think it was. This is the one that you have a willed and well-armed patch and the Old West playing cards deck for this week, and it's to do with the novels written by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child about a special agent Pendergast. And all I want to know is, what is his usual personal sidearm that he uses, make, model, and all that good stuff. Except in the very first novel, he used a different firearm, and I want to know what that was. That's it. That's the question. Email me at rickslife at Gmail, rickslife as I see it at gmail.com, or spottedrick@gmail.com. So get it into me by Saturday, 12 noon, and you'll be in for that deck of cards and the patch. So there we go. So anyway, let's wind this up. Let's start with any shout outs or plugs, Patriot.
Oh, thanks, Rick, for having me. Appreciate it. Yeah, I just got the Patriot 1776 project going. So if you know of a hero in history, American history, and want to do a video about it, go check out the videos on that. You might win your subscriptions or memberships to Second Amendment Foundation, all sorts of stuff. There's like 13 different packages. So if you want,
Okay,
so,
great.
thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
I saw your video today that you put out. So, I think it was today's, wasn't it, or yesterday's?
I think I put it out today. It might have been.
Yeah. All right, New York Outcast. You got anything?
Just thanks for having me. If anybody's interested, I did throw up some videos of the Rod of Iron Festival.
Yes, I saw him.
Two-way event that went pretty well. So, tried to preview, get an idea of what it is. I believe this is the second one. So,
and not only that, Squibload was there too.
Yep. So check it out. From what I hear, next year should be bigger and better. So, other than that, thanks for having me.
No problem. Jason.
Thanks for having me, Rick. Always a pleasure. Thanks, Clover, for all the useful information on that. Definitely very knowledgeable. And tomorrow, stop by my channel, probably about 8:15, and we'll talk about some stuff.
All right. Kingpin, you got anything?
No, have a good one and look into stuff. You know, I'll say thank you to Clover too for clarifying what everybody else seemed to be making like the entire planet was on fire. So good stuff.
Yep. All right. Will and Well Armed, you got any plugs or shout outs?
No, thanks for having me. Clover, thanks for the information. I'm wondering if I should actually write them the ATF and actually get a letter directly myself for that, just in case.
Yep.
Kind of making me
if
think.
you can, I would suggest doing it.
Okay.
If you have any questions on the validity or legitimacy, when most of mine, I'm not going to tell you what they are, because if I do, people will assume that it's completely legal or they're not going to get in trouble. But I will say that most of mine have to do with reloading and stuff. So yeah, if you've got anything that's questionable, can I legally do this, without an FFL, or do this or that? It's not a hard process to do. It takes time because you're talking about old school writing a freaking letter, right? There's no digital way to do it. So, you got to mail it to Virginia. Basically, a lot of times you could talk to your local office. They'll help you facilitate it. They'll give you the get you the address of who you need to send that particular grievance to, whatever, and all that kind of stuff. Again, I don't want to mansplain a lot, but get with your local ATF office. Those guys will usually help you out with doing that.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. And then I do have a video dropping on the side every morning.
All right. Great. All right. Kingpin in the chat said, don't forget rants and raves tonight around 10:30. Roll call. They doing Guns and Barbecue. Any shout outs or plugs?
First, I would just like to say thanks for the invite as always. Everybody make sure to go over, check out Jason's chat tomorrow night. We'll just mention his video that he has coming out this weekend, but he's got plenty more out. They're always a good time. Kingpin just had a video last week on sentimental guns that's absolutely awesome. Patriot's got his 1776 project. If you haven't looked into that yet, check that out. That's a really neat thing. And as we all learned tonight, this is why CloverTech makes the big bucks. Wealth of knowledge. Go over, check him out, check out his website.
Okay, that works. Hey, Will and Well Armed, just say Clover told you it was legal.
Got it. Thank you, Clover.
No, negative. Now, on the other hand, if you're traveling through about 3 or 4 counties in East Texas here, if you tell them Dover said it was legal and it's a gun-related issue, you probably get off the hook from a county officer or a local officer, because I talked to a lot of them and I answer a lot of questions for a lot of them, honestly.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, now everything that was said here was for informational purposes only.
Yep.
So, Clover, you got any shout-outs or plugs?
You know what I do, Rick? I go through Saturdays with you, and I never say anything but thank you. But I got a couple things. First of all, a little food for thought with what we're talking about with the stupidities and ridiculousness and complexity of the ATF, the NFA, and GCA and everything else. Keep in mind this: there are 9 different types of FFL dealers. 9. There are 4 different types of NFA forms, and there are 3 different types of SOTs. So to complicate things even more, not only do you have to have those things, you have to have the right one, right? Which is ridiculous. And then the bigger issue that I want to get the word out for, and let me say thank you, Rick, for bringing me on and all. It's always a pleasure to jump on with you. First time on Wednesday, I think, which is cool. I've got something going on, so I want to get the message out to as many people as possible. We'll talk about it tomorrow night on the Nerd Chat, I'm sure. And I plan on trying to drop a video. I got to figure out the best way to do that. But I've been working with YouTube for a while, some people within YouTube on some different issues, and that's kind of ramped up to a whole different level now. I've got a lot more eyes and ears and communication with some other people in YouTube now, and we're working towards some efforts. They recognize that there is a problem when it comes to policy, particular monetization policy within YouTube. So if you're out there, let me first say this, and you're a creator that is monetized and you're having frustrations and problems, please reach out to me. Most of the ones probably listening to this or in the chat, they know how to do that. So reach out to me. Let's talk about it, and let's get you on board with this particular project, which I'll explain in a minute. If you're out there and you're a viewer and you hear somebody griping and complaining about YouTube's policies, particularly the ad policy, you need to get with them, and you need to try to push them to get in touch with me and let me get them on board with this project. And so we've got an opportunity as gun tubers, as the firearm content creator community. We've got the ear of quite a few people in YouTube, and those people are wanting to work with us to actually modify, change, correct, clarify, redo, however you want to word it, policy when it comes to firearm content and monetization. So we've got something, I'm offering up something here that I don't know that anybody else has ever tried to come out and say, we've got this opportunity. Is it scary? I know for a lot of you, it probably is. You don't know the people I know or what I know. But a lot of you know me. And I appreciate that, and I love the kind words that you said, and you know that if I say it, I mean, you could pretty much hang your hat on it. And this is an amazing opportunity. I think we need to seize it and potentially forever change the landscape of YouTube. So if you're out there, if you're a creator, get in touch with me, get on board, let's make it happen. If you know people that are putting on a live stream, putting out a video and complaining about it, hit them up, tell them get a hold of me. There might indeed be something major, historic we can do about it here on the YouTube platform. Again, thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
No problem. I've been receiving your newsletter with that info on it. So, yeah, I'll pass the word along. Anybody out here? So, all right. I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat for stopping by, especially you, G-Webs. You put a lot of info out there as well. And everybody else that was in the chat tonight, thank you. And I will be back again on Saturday at 3 p.m. with Rick's Life as I See It. So I will say good night to everybody now. So good night, everybody.
Bye, Sabrina.
Pay it forward.